Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about in the gallop to the finish line, which we've reached on the evidence in the Trump trial, an important, if short, examination that we haven't spoken about so far, the redirect of Michael Cohen. It was reminiscent in a lot of ways of the Stormy Daniels redirect, which was particularly effective. And they set the table in the same way, did the defense. So Todd Blanche crossed Cohen. He's on the stand for about 4 days total. And the lion's share of that is the cross examination and has been much examined and analyzed now. There was at least the one good blow of making it appear as if a critical call had been to Robert Schiller about a 14-year-old that's pranking Cohen rather than to Donald Trump to tell Donald Trump, as Cohen had testified, everything's fine with the Stormy case where this was on the 24th, 2 days before he actually secures the money and pays Keith Davidson. So quite a lot was made about that. That's the sort of thing that, defense attorneys try to do in cross, except they try to do it more like 10 times. And Blanche did it basically once. The other hit we knew was coming, but it was done in an effective way, which is the stealing of money. That's, a harsh word, but it's an accurate word. And Blanche got Cohen to eat that word. Recall there was a $50,000 contract that they had with a company that supposedly was going to improve Trump's standing in a certain poll, a CNBC poll, and it didn't. And then I think the poll even closed down. So Trump decided not to pay them with no justification. They were bugging Cohen about it, and Cohen, the head guy of Red Finch, the company, is a friend of Cohen's. So Cohen says, "I'll pay you back," and he does, except he pays them back only $20,000, meaning he pockets 30 for himself, which he describes. It's indefensible. It's a theft. But he describes as a kind of payback. Self-help was how he put it, for having been stiffed essentially by Trump in his bonus, which was one of the things, as he had testified on direct, that began to sour him so strongly on Trump. All right. So there we go. In about 2 days or so, that's really what they have. And it's a fairly thin kind of harvest. From the cross of the defense star witness. But more importantly is what happened on redirect, because Susan Hoffinger, the DA, came and just in very crisp fashion cleaned it up. So first on the phone call, she started out there. And two things to be said about the phone call, and she said them in quick order, so that if the jury is there, it's doesn't have to follow along and figure it out and piece things together. It's just like boom, boom. One boom is the many, many other calls with Trump about Stormy Daniels, including, most importantly, two on the morning of the actual transaction, one of them being pretty long. And then second, that it could easily have been that when he reaches Schiller with Trump there, he tells Schiller this thing about the 14-year-old, asks him to pass it on to the boss, and then gives Trump a briefing, which tended to be in the 5-second category. Everything's fine, boss, et cetera, et cetera. And then that's, the explanation. Doesn't mean that it exactly happened that way. But it's quite plausible. And given that it's not an earth-shaking call, I think it very much blunts the defense efforts, but we'll see them in closing argument to say, see, he told you something inaccurate, even on the stand here about the October 24th call. So you can generally say he was inaccurate. You can try to color the whole testimony. That's going to be a very, very heavy lift. But in particular, so the redirect, crisp, goes through a lot of territory in short order. Obviously, Cohen is compliant, but ends with, is there anything at all that you testified about before that you want to change, or that is at all different? Is your testimony still, I'll just read it. In that 90 seconds, you spoke to Schiller, told him you would send him the number, which you did, the number for the 14-year-old, but also had time to pass the phone to Mr. Trump and update him on anything going on. Yes, that's right. And then your testimony remains the same as you gave it last Tuesday, that notwithstanding everything that you said over the years, you have a specific recollection of having conversations on the phone with then candidate Donald J. Trump about the Stormy Daniels matter. Yes, sir. No doubt in your mind. No doubt. And so a shorter but more effective, it's actually the kind of testimony you sometimes think a cross should be. Blanche, rather than doing his good points, collecting them and going through them methodically and crisply, just, sort of wandered and had some hits and some misses. And so it was all the more effective, I think, that Hoffinger got back and was, able in quick order to clean everything up, or at least just leave it for what it was, like the theft. So look, we'll see. There's an argument now, but it would have been unlikely that there would never have been an argument that the defense can make at closing that Cohen is, even more than you might have thought, a liar, a thief, etc. But the argument has to be that therefore all these things he testifies about, all the stuff that Pecker testifies about, all the stuff that Davidson testifies about, all the paper record, all of that is somehow all made up, and he acted without Trump's knowledge for some completely mysterious reason. So to me, while those two events were kind of shots on the jaw, they got outsized coverage in the media, and the feeling inside the courtroom was, okay, here's a couple minutes that didn't go so well. Here's a real shot they took, but it washes over pretty quick. And the question is the overall impression that Cohen provides for, if his account is true, his account of Trump is true, notwithstanding the bias and the record of not having told the truth, etc. And my sense is that these two events, permeated it not very much. So he was made to be the sort of star witness at the very end. Bit of a gutsy move by the DA, but I think that move was paid off, and that he basically acquitted himself, so to speak, pretty well, more than pretty well, and that the couple things that people are focusing on, I think CNN breathlessly suggested the whole case was down the tubes once the theft was admitted. I think those two nicks, in fact, have been emphasized on the coverage, and the feeling inside the courtroom to me was that they absorbed an overall credible account and will take that with them to the jury room. And just one final point about the recross, which sort of summed it all up. So after this quick, crisp, rehabilitating redirect, they went back in on Cohen, did Blanche, and it was covering some of the same ground, and the jury was noticeably sort of inattentive is too strong a word, but maybe sort of moving in their seats a bit. And then the final, there is an adage on cross-examination, never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And they violated that repeatedly, as did Susan Necklace with Stormy Daniels. So he goes to his big crescendo to end the entire recross of the main witness and says, isn't it true you've got a financial stake in this trial? Yes. Isn't it true you're going to profit if Trump is convicted? And Cohen said, no, actually, I'm out there talking about him. Probably I make more money if he's acquitted. Now, You could argue which way that is, but if you're a experienced cross-examiner, you write down that question, you go through every single question and think, how's he going to answer it? And you want to write questions with very few exceptions and never at the very end of your examination that can only be answered one way. And this could be answered two ways. And so the whole thing had, he was going for a final kind of cymbal tap, and instead, it just missed. So, all in all, on just sort of technical grading advantage again to the prosecution. So that was the end of the Cohen testimony after 4 days, and as a few points for the defense, certainly, but those were to be expected. I think it's been overplayed how strongly what an impact they might have had on the jury. It's sort of a natural part of the rhythm of media versus the rhythm of a jury presentation, where things just kind of go in a line. Whereas we're always looking on TV to call out a big moment. So I think that basically it was overall solid with a couple little points scored by the defense, but the jury will take into the room likely 12 people. It only takes one, et cetera, but likely an overall sense that Cohen's account was credible and accurate. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.